In 2003, a card battle game was released for the PS2 that you likely have never heard about. It's a video game that, while considered one of the greatest hits in the PlayStation 2 lifecycle, it got dragged through the mud by video game critics at the time of its release. Officially, this game has a Metacritic score of 59, marking it in the average range of PS2 titles. However, despite the unfavorable response from critics, this game went on to cement itself as a cult classic in the PS2 catalog and sold over 1 million copies across the entire world. That game was Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, and honestly, you should never play it. But before I tell you why, I should probably explain what a Yu-Gi-Oh! Even is. If you were a kid growing up in the early 2000s, you most likely watched the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. The game is, of course, based on the anime with the same name, but it's not exactly the same as what you might have seen in the anime. In fact, the plot is an entirely different time period than any given point in the entire show. And that's saying a lot, because they go to ancient Egypt. We have to go a little more further in time, way after Ramses, but before the English Reformation. This game takes place during the War of the Roses, and that little piece of history is the War of the Roses, known at the time in the following centuries as the Civil Wars, were a series of armed confrontations.
William Shakespeare was an English playwright.
Okay, it really doesn't matter. But here's the plot simplified. You're a figure known as the Rose Duelist, summoned by a druid of the House of Lancaster who requires your help to win the war. There are 16 special cards divided into two groups, the Red Rose cards and the White Rose cards. Druid needs your help and wants you to defeat the House of York and obtain the White Rose cards from them. How? Well, in a children's card game, of course. It's essentially the official card game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, but with a small twist. The third dimension. That's right, Yu-Gi-Oh! In 3D. It's a glorified game of chess, and it's pretty simple to follow. You have a deck with a bunch of cards that you might recognize from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, and these are divided into 3 categories: spells, traps, and monsters. And as for monsters, there's one monster that makes up your deck leader, a figure that represents you on the field. Through this deck leader, you can move across the field and summon monsters from the 5 cards you drew in the beginning of the game. Each card has summoning stars. What are summoning stars? They represent the monster level for each card. You gain 3 stars every turn. You can only summon the monster you want when your star counter reaches the sufficient number. You can either set your card face up or down and in attack or defense position. You have 4,000 life points, which is essentially your health, and your goal is to make the opponent's life points go to 0 using your monsters, which have attack points that quantify how much damage you can do. Okay, now I kinda understand why people don't like this game. Even for someone who's familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, this will still be a bit hard to follow. After all, this isn't just putting cards on an anime girl mat on top of a filthy table. That's a real line I wrote. The added elements of deck leaders and star counters make this game way more intricate. And if you think that's complicated, wait until you find out how fusion works in this game. Hint, it doesn't, and I'm not gonna talk about it. The challenging thing about Duelist of the Roses was that it has an insane learning curve. But honestly, you can make do by winging most battles, unless you side with the Lancastrians. You're screwed if you side with the Lancastrian. Remember when I mentioned the House of Lancaster? Turns out you should tell that druid to go f himself and side with the Yorkists. In the beginning of the game, you get to choose what side of the war you get to support. Listen, you heard me in the intro, but if you do play this game, for the love of all that is Karibo, never choose the Lancastrian side first. Be a traitor. It did wonders for me. For that reason, the imbalance between campaigns make this game insanely harder to get into. Siding with the Lancastrians is imposed as the right thing to do. Therefore, beginners will most likely feel asphyxiated by choosing the Lancastrian side and enter a game that is insanely difficult for them. However, you might luck out when you face Weevil and maybe some other enemies, until you get to Pegasus. I hate Pegasus. Something I haven't mentioned about the gameplay is that there's different terrain in each square across the grid. It's not randomly generated. Each map is carefully designed for each enemy encounter. This gives advantages to monster cards that line up with the enemy territory. These are what you expect. Mako the Fisherman has sea, Weevil the Insect Guy has forest, and that son of a bitch Pegasus has toon terrain. What the hell is tone terrain? But moving on from Pegasus, this game isn't all that bad. If you're really curious, you could look up and find the exact issues that every video game critic had with this game. It's right there on Metacritic. But the thing I feel like everyone fails to remember is how unique this game really was. First off, the plot. Out of all the points in history to create a game in, the War of the Roses is likely not one that comes to mind. When's the last time your world history class talked about Henry Tudor? I legitimately don't know what prompted these writers to base their game on this time period. The only potential reason I can come up with with is the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has meddled with both ancient Egypt and Atlantis in the anime. So I guess there's some history exploration there. But I think it adds a level of authenticity of what makes this game so weird and distinct. And that isn't even tackling the level of auditory bliss that is the soundtrack to this game. This OST is filled with a variety of different flavors of music. This ranges from electric rock to jazzy to melancholic piano melodies. This game boasts some of the best music I've heard in all of gaming, and strangely enough, its utilization in each dedicated moments is brilliant. When Seto arrives at Stonehenge and offers to assist your ride back home, you're filled with mystique by the piano melody that transitions into a dash of danger and ambition, telling you exactly that this is a bad idea to go with him, but it makes you want to do it even more. The soundtrack to this game is stellar, and I literally have no notes. Eat your heart out, Persona. But honestly, the real thing I love about this game, and I've probably been alluding it across the entire video, is the game itself. Genuinely, I adore both the gameplay and the game design. I firmly stand on that this is the most innovative twist I've ever seen in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Formula. Many criticize how difficult it is to figure out. The complexity of this game can turn gameplay into a nightmare, and I love that. I think a big part of why people adore this game is the difficulty, the unfair game mechanics that make this experience complete. When I fought Mai during the Yorkist side of the game, I struggled for a solid hour until I finally defeated her, and honestly, it felt amazing. This game forces you to be strategic by using different cards, different movement strategies. You have to really think, and I love that. It made me feel like a genius. This game is the most satisfying rush of dopamine ever because it accomplishes something that games are meant to bring: satisfaction. It doesn't justify the difficulty spike when you get into the Lancastrian side, but it does make for an interesting challenge for those who want something a little harder. The thing is, I just wish the game would clarify that, but I guess not much clarity in a PS2 game, you know? The fight in this game can go from stupid to fairly difficult very fast. Jasper Tutor's AI is just programmed to go towards the middle of the arena and stay there no matter what, even if it means losing in the process. It is unbearably easy to checkmate him. This is a deep contrast to your next opponent, Bakura, who basically forces you to use your weakest cards and luck out a win against him. I fear for the mental health of whoever is trying to speedrun this game. I'm looking at you, Clovis. Speaking of, this game is kind of short, or at least it was for me. The beauty of this game is that once it clicks, you will breeze through another playthrough. The replayability of this game is insane, as there are a bunch of things that are left to explore other than the main campaign. A lot of the cards are hidden behind RNG and a slot machine minigame after every match. I'm not joking, it literally is gambling. And hey, power to you if you want to explore the game. Or alternatively, you could cheat. Like most PS2 games, there are a variety of cheat codes you can input into the game that unlock you 1,000 different things. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, this could unlock you various different cards inside the game. These could get you cards like Blue Eyes White Dragon, Change of Heart, or some guy's left arm. But even with the fully functioning cheat codes inside the game, there were still some really cool, unobtainable cards you couldn't get in any way, shape, or form. Unless you had Action Replay. If you don't know what Action Replay is, oh my god, how old are you? Action Replay was a cheating device used to, well, cheat. For some games, it meant getting an 100% save file, screw the game up even harder, or obtaining items that you normally can't get. The thing about some of these unobtainable cards is that they are used inside the game, they're just used by your opponents, and you can't have them. Why? Because you kid, you can't use a Mirror Force. But cheating devices were literally made for situations like this. There's absolutely no reason you shouldn't have these cards, apart from the fact that they make everything 10 times easier. But listen, Dark Magician of Chaos is really cool. But after all that, I gotta say, I can't recommend this game to literally anyone. Apart from the fact that this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, a franchise that unfortunately just seems to get less popular by the year, the critical response from reviewers really stagnates this in discussion as one of the bigger PS2 titles. And I admit, my favoritism towards it is a bit of bias on my part. I know this game in and out because not only did I grow up with this game, I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh! And apart from it being now a decades-old game, there isn't really a particular appeal for someone who wants to play a weird buggy version of Monster Chest. There is a small, and I mean small, community of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans that still have this game in their hearts. There's a mod that has a lot of passion put into this by someone named Clovis, who I will be linking in the description below. To this day, there's still that one person who still has so much love for this game, and you have to appreciate that. If you do want to play this game though, maybe you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, or you just enjoy annoying games, I can recommend this game for you. Copies of this game are going for dirt cheap online, and if you own the game already, emulating this game is spectacular. This game has 3D models for every monster in the game, and additionally, there's unique attack animations for every single one. The attention to detail for this commercial game was insane. So while I can't recommend this game to everyone, I at least wanted to salute this game one last time. Maybe one day it'll be tossed into a remaster collection. I really don't know if that'll happen, but it would be amazing. I know that the old Yu-Gi-Oh games are getting tossed into collections, so maybe one day this will be part of a PS2 collection. I don't know. Godspeed, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels of the Roses. I sacrifice you to summon Master Duel and send you to the graveyard. Also, if someone could find these limited edition cards and give them to me for free, that'd be great, thanks.